Is slavery really an issue of the past, or has it just grown more grotesque? I attended a seminar some time back on human trafficking, and it was put on by an organization called Operation 61. They're a nonprofit organization that work towards fighting against human trafficking. Since that evening, I have read a lot of information about human trafficking, and I am indirectly involved with an organization called A21 that basically is the same thing as Operation 61. They fight against human trafficking. So I want to help you understand that human trafficking is a prevalent issue and that it is right in your, and to make you aware that it's right in your backyard. I'm going to begin by defining human trafficking for you. Then I'm going to go over some staggering statistics, and then I'll wrap things up by putting flesh to those numbers. So let me give you the two definitions that I found online for human trafficking. The first is by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and they define it as the exploitation of persons by coercion or abuse for prostitution or other sexual acts, or for forced labor services. The Department of Homeland Security defined it as a modern-day form of slavery involving the illegal trade of people for exploitation or commercial gain. Coercion or abuse is ultimately used to ascertain their victims, and it is a hidden crime. Now, the common factors of these two definitions are that traffickers use coercion and abuse to ascertain their victims for their own financial gain, just to ultimately exploit the victim, whether it be by sex or labor, whether it be for sex or labor, sorry. To help give some bones to this issue, I'm going to go over some statistics. Most of the statistics that I have are from the Polaris Project website, and they're an organization that are similar to Operation 61 and A21 that I've defined for you earlier. There are 20.9 million people, adults and children, trafficked globally. 98% of those victims are women or young girls used for sexual acts. 26% of the victims are children. The exact number of victims in the United States is unknown, but it's estimated to be in the hundreds of thousands. The National Human Trafficking Resource Center, they're an organization that take phone calls for tips about human trafficking going on. And in 2015, they took 101 calls from Utah. And of course, there's the financial piece to this, right? The International Labor Organization has estimated this to be a $150 billion worldwide industry. The U.S. Department of Labor has identified 136 goods from 74 countries that are made from either forced or child labor. Now, up to this point, I've only talked about this issue in a very abstract form, but I'm going to go ahead and take a minute and give life to this information and all these numbers I've given to you. The Polaris Project featured Kevin's story, and he was a young man who was coerced to go work for a magazine company with the promises of a high-paying salary and a signing bonus. Kevin agreed, only to find himself working from 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. with little pay and no sign-in bonus. The other people were afraid to leave for fear of retaliation, and luckily, Kevin escaped. Being part of A21, I received email notifications about different survivor stories, which can be very encouraging and heartbreaking at the same time. I received one not too long ago about a 4-year-old little girl named Bella who was being trafficked by some people, and she was forced to basically sleep on a cement sidewalk that was all cracked and broken up to beg for money for them. She's one of the 26% of the children. And then we have Anne. Anne is from Utah, and she had an 18-year-old daughter who passed away due to human trafficking. And the details around her death are not clear, they weren't provided, but she would make up part of that 98% of women who fall into this, or that are coerced rather. As I bring this to an end, let me review what I've covered, and then I'm going to finish with a quote to really drive home my main point. I began by providing you a definition for human trafficking, and then I provided you some staggering statistics. And finally, I gave life to those numbers for you by providing real-life examples of human trafficking that have happened. As I've illustrated, human trafficking is a prevalent issue, and it's not just far away in some other country. It's right here where you and I live. A quote given on Thunderclap's website, which is a website that is used to promote variety of different campaigns will sum this up well for us. If you think slavery ended in the United States in 1865, think again.